Hi, everyone. Before I jump into visual arts portfolio tips, keep in mind that hearing from varied voices through the application development process is especially important when working on grants like Fulbright that aren't solely art specific, even for the portfolio component, which will be reviewed by both artists and non-artists. You have creative professors, mentors, peers who can work with you on how to present your technique. Someone outside your discipline can help you look at your entire application package in a different way, and their not being an artist may actually be a benefit. Also, solicit feedback early on in the process. You know from the arts critique environment that everyone will see something a little different. Everyone has a different perspective and agenda, which is great. At the beginning, all voices are important. At the end, your voice is important. This is your voice, your style, your project. I'm going to use RISD Fulbrighter Sasha Asbell's work to support my tips for a compelling visual arts portfolio. Sasha graduated from RISD with a master's of architecture. The first time she applied was through architecture. Unfortunately, she didn't get the grant. She applied a second time, but this time her practice had shifted and she decided to bring her arts interests, passions, and skills together and applied through design. The second time, she received the award. To provide a little context, her Fulbright project in Sri Lanka, Sasha proposed to experiment with local botanical dyes and explore dance traditions to collaboratively make hand-woven, hand-dyed dance costumes. If you are a multidisciplinary artist, you will especially appreciate how Sasha made her case through a cohesive portfolio that highlighted her varied strengths and area of growth: weaving, apparel, gardening, science, movement, celebration, even architecture. Her project was titled Nature, Textiles, Dance, Interwoven Expression. Keep in mind, there's no one way to do this. There are many ways to curate a compelling portfolio. How you make your unique case will depend on your situation, skills, talent, interest, country choice, and your affiliate's needs and interests. The most important thing is to make thoughtful decisions. Tip number 1, connect to your project and purpose. Focus your portfolio on its fit with your project. Your portfolio should support your proposal and vice versa. Do your portfolio show you prepared for the activities of your project, show you have the skill and talent, show you have transferable skills, but also show that there is room for growth. Here you can see how Sasha moves from architecture to material exploration to apparel. You can see her skills, but you can also see in the dress image, which is on a form rather than the model, where she wants to grow. The images are cohesive in color and design, and she even uses effective titles to show her multidisciplinary approach and her path. My city is my drawing, is my dress. The path is clear and exciting. Tip number 2. Make your case with effective images. Consider for the visual arts, Fulbright allows 15 to 20 images. This is generous. Use this to your advantage. But you don't want to tire your reviewers with repeats or throwaways. Every image counts. Every image should help tell a story that supports your purpose and path. You want to show a body of work. Detail shots are great, but don't include too many. One detail shot of an image is fine, but don't keep showing the same piece, and maybe not a detail shot of every piece. Use collaged images sparingly. There needs to be a reason for more than one view or image within an image. Otherwise, it seems like sneaking in additional pieces to gain an advantage. There may be a collaged image where it makes sense, but too many is overwhelming and diminishes the look of a whole piece as a single image. Consider showing your work in its environment, on a wall, in a studio, in a gallery, in an installation space, or at an event. Not for each piece, but maybe one or two at the end of your portfolio. This view provides reviewers perspective and gives them insight into your broader intentions and vision. Consider 1 to 2 images that show process or collaboration, especially if this is important to your work or as an aspect of your Fulbright proposed project. You could include a work in progress to show your area of growth if it helps make your case in some way. This needs to be limited, of course, as complete works are important. Maybe consider 1 to 2 in-progress pieces at most. The Riverside piece Sasha included shows her architecture and design side. The collage makes sense here as she's including it to show process and collaboration, which is important in her work. For the beautiful urban mark piece, she included 1 full image of the piece and a separate image of the detail. The detail shot is really needed to see the material and dye close up. And Sasha even has an effective touch in her title, Urban Mark, highlighting the connection of her architecture design training and ways of thinking to her fine arts practice. Tip number 3, engage your reviewers. Consider how your work might be reviewed to an untrained eye and consider that your images also act as a cultural ambassador. What will the people of the host country think of your work? Take advantage of the opportunity to explain your work in the portfolio narrative and image description. Use those image descriptions. Non-artists will really appreciate them. They want to know how you did this, what you were thinking. Your reviewers will appreciate the opportunity to learn something a little new about the art process and technique. Reviewers of various backgrounds could connect to Sasha's work. There's something for everyone, yet they all connect. You can see her weaving with her material experimentation. You can see her designing with her weaving and materials. You can see her applying her designs and adding her plant and gardening interests. And you can see the imprint of the plants and dyes in her beautiful fabrics. And her titles help bring it together, even making a Fulbright mission hit, The World is Interwoven. She also used her image descriptions effectively to explain what she does, why, and how. This description space was particularly helpful to her as a multidisciplinary artist. She used the space to explain how it was all connected for her and prepared her for her proposed project and next stage in her growth. Tip number 4, provide an experience. Your portfolio should be a visually pleasing experience. Don't only think about each piece, think about the portfolio overall. Curate your portfolio. Your choices, their order, and the quality of documentation is very important. A curated portfolio shows organized thinking and thoughtfulness. Through your portfolio, you can show reviewers that you really care about this application and therefore your project. Your portfolio should be cohesive in some way, in any way. Don't resign to chronological order. Really consider how the pieces flow from one to the next. Multidisciplinary artists, and there are many of you out there, often start their Fulbright portfolio work scratching their head, how? My work is so varied. Maybe cohesiveness is in material or shape or size or color or even background color, something. Again, think about your reviewers, artists and non-artists' overall experience. Start and end strong. Consider the middle is where a reviewer might fade. Start with something to capture their attention and get them excited to see what's next. End with an image you want them to keep in their mind as they review the other parts of your application. Also consider that in a group review session, your first or last image may stay up on the screen as they talk about your application. Maybe print each image you are considering on half sheets of paper and taping them to a wall so you can stand back and really look at them and then move them around to find that compelling flow. The movement through Sasha's portfolio through the colors, shapes, and textures of each image flowed and connected her interests like a dance. Her beginning and ending pieces were bookends. A first image, an installation piece, wove together nature and textile. Her last image wove in dance. You can easily see her project come to life in which she would collaboratively create dance costumes. And even the walls behind the dress in this last image help make her case. The walls are unfinished. She isn't finished. Fulbright would be an opportunity for her to grow. And I have one more slide for video. All the tips I've mentioned apply. Connect your Fulbright project, submit quality materials, engage your reviewers. Follow the instructions carefully, especially time allowed. Do not go over. Check if video is allowed for your Fulbright field of study. Do not submit video if it is not listed as an option. If you have the opportunity to submit 2 videos, like Fulbright filmmaking, consider a trailer montage for the first film so reviewers can see your various work, your themes, styles, how you direct, continuity. Your second film could then be in full, a full short film or edited parts of the film to show your depth. If the requirement is 1 video, like Fulbright animation, create and submit a montage. Fulbright actually requires a sample reel with a 1-page shot breakdown. This is again to see your varied style, skills, and maturity. In any montage type video, do keep cohesiveness in mind. Yes, you want to show your range, but tie it together in some way. Consider thoughtful, effective transitions and pauses. If video is allowed in another field of study in place of a still image, like design or installation art, great. But consider video only if the work cannot be fully understood without video. If, for example, your piece has moving parts. In this case, video should be no more than 2 minutes. Less is more. You do not want to tire your reviewers, and consider limiting video to 2 to 3 in your portfolio. You don't want to overwhelm or surprise your reviewers with a lot of short videos. Capture and keep attention. You have a short amount of time to get reviewers to understand your concept and aesthetic. Consider how we all watch videos these days. Unfortunately, most do not stick around too long. This may mean some hard editing choices. A good test is to watch a few people watch your videos. Where do they get distracted? Do they fidget? And where do they lean in? Where do they take a breath? Where do they smile? And where do their eyes light up? Emotional resonance is key. That's it. Easy. Easy for me to say. But I hope these tips have you thinking and asking yourself a lot of good questions.